All right, welcome into another episode of Are You Ready for a Podcast, the official podcast of the Are You Ready for Some Football Fantasy Football League. And Joe, big win for the Tigers tonight. Defense looked great. The offense still leaves something to be desired.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back week 2 of the LSU basketball podcast. And yeah, I would say an ugly game, but definitely one. If you can win those ugly ones, it's definitely a little bit sign of encouragement.
Yeah, got 10 days off after this one to sort of change some things around, figure out what's going on, and figure out how to get the ball in the hoop for the next matchup. So definitely good to be 8-0. Should be in the polls next week.
I mean, you would think, but you can just never know with the pollsters.
We can do that bit again because the last week's podcast got like 6 views. So at least half the league felt that was a funny joke.
It's true. I mean, listen, I don't know anywhere better to come for LSU basketball analysis other than the Are You Ready for a Podcast Fantasy Football League podcast. So
I mean, there's Hoops with Hunt. I thought we were Hoops with Hunt guys.
That's true. That's true.
Jesus.
I'm all out of sorts right now.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, which is presumably most of you, Joe's got the flu. So this is Joe's flu game. He's pushing through a podcast at 10:45 at night, Wednesday night. This is also the latest one we've done, which that's my fault. So I'm keeping Joe up late to do a podcast when he's sick with the flu.
And I lost to Zach by 40, and I don't know which one made me feel worse.
Well, I thought we all knew that that's why you had the
flu. That's true. I clearly I don't know what my team was getting into, but they brought back something to the clubhouse that I caught.
Yeah, so I guess we can stumble our way into the last week's recap, and I don't think that there's any other way to describe week 12 other than a nightmare. So we talked about last week. I kind of did my best to load up for week 12 and see if I couldn't turn the tide with Grant, and I proceeded to lose by the largest margin of defeat in any game in my franchise history. So lost by 78 by a score of 152-74 to Grant. So we'll start there. Grant led the league in scoring this week. Like I said, my largest loss ever. It's actually Grant's second largest win ever. But now this makes my 2 largest losses in the 150 whatever game history of Team I'm Due are both to Grant this year. So I lost by 67 last time we played and 78 this time. It's Grant's third 150-point game this year, so that's a new record. First team to score 150 or more 3 times in a season. And it's Grant's 85th win, which ties him with me for second most in league history. And there's not much to say about this. I mean, I wish I could point fingers to the trade and be like, man, if I didn't make that trade last week, things would have been different. But, he got Aaron Jones out of the deal, and Aaron Jones only scored 2 points. And, DK Metcalf didn't show up really, and Saquon didn't do a whole lot. But when you lose by 78, unless they were going to score 40 points each, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, basically everybody you traded for last week was not very good. I mean, Jalen Hurts, DK, and Saquon all combined for like 15 points or something like that.
Single-handedly broke the Eagles' offense.
Yeah, at one point I think you had 5 guys playing in either like the noon games, and Grant had Leonard Fournette, and Leonard outscored all 5 of your guys that were playing in the noon games. So I don't think you're going to win many games like that. Yeah, I think Grant is, staked his claim back as the best team in the league after that surprising upset loss to Austin last week. And yeah, I think that's, the shocking even week loss for you hasn't happened yet this year. I don't know what there is to say. I think you obviously were able to kind of make another trade to reconfigure your team and give your team a nice little spark for the end of the season. But 71 points or whatever it was, 73 points when coming down the stretch when there's only 3 games left or 2 games left now, that's not what you want to see for a bubble team right now.
Yeah, no, things are going the wrong way for sure. the last minute swap Jalen Hurts for Pat Mahomes to give me a chance to win this week. Clearly did not work. So yeah, big time nightmare. Not much to say about that. Grant's team, obviously ridiculously good. He's going to go on to contend for the championship for sure. He's got the first round bye lock sealed up after this. So we'll move on to you, who got the win 135-96 over Zach. Lost. Yeah. You got the loss 96-135 over Zach. And this is one that you needed and felt like you had in your back pocket. You looking at the schedule, and unfortunately you kind of pulled a me in this one, and things just didn't turn out.
Yeah, when I was 6-3 coming off my win to Thomas, and I saw that I had Dan without Derrick Henry and Zach and Ben still left on my schedule, I was like, I mean, like, we're just playing for the bye at this point. Like, we're hoping to get that 2 seed and not have to worry about it. And now might not even make the playoffs. So yeah, I don't, like I said last week, as a longtime lucky person and fantasy, I don't care for this points against the luck. I really don't. I think, coming into the week with against going into the last place or playing against the last place team in the league, was not expecting anything like this. And the Dalton Schultz touchdown on Thanksgiving, that performance really raised my spirits after a little bit of a disconcerting start, and then Sunday just came and just everything went wrong for me. My team underperformed. Zach's team just decided to go off, and yeah, now I have 2 left, and I have Nick, who's a good team, and then Ben. So I guess we'll see. But my team is currently in a little bit of a free fall and has lost AJ Brown until the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think the AJ Brown loss hurts, but I would say, looking at your team, the running backs sort of all kind of had duds this week, and it all just happened to fall in the same week with Montgomery, James Robinson, and Nick Chubb. And I think all those guys should be reliable going forward. I think if you get, 25 points combined from those 3 guys, that obviously caps your upside significantly. But getting Mahomes back, getting those 3 guys healthy, I don't think it's all a loss for your team. 96 points. I don't know what you ranked on the week, but it wasn't that far down. So I think, unfortunate week to lose. Yeah, you were 8th in the league in scoring this week. Unfortunate week to lose. You are a little bit underwater on the schedule luck this year, but we're in the same boat. What can we say? And for Zach, gets the win, 2nd win of the year. Doesn't really do anything. Ben also won to stay out of the bye in the Haney Cup playoffs. So not much to play for, Zach, other than just to spoil your season and my season.
Yeah, that's the other part that I didn't appreciate. Like, Zach is his only 2 wins of the year have come against us too. So I guess he enjoys just these depressing recaps of our matchups against them. So good on him for that, but I did not much care for it.
Yeah, and look, for Zach, you might ask why are you doing this to us? But he's still 3.5 games underwater in schedule luck. This is his first win of the whole year where he scored more than 75 points. So good on Zach, coming out, having a good week, getting a win against a good team. It's important to get some momentum going into the Haney Cup playoffs. We'll move on to a team that's got a lot of momentum going into the real playoffs, which is Morgan. Getting the win 129-98 over Colin. He goes over 13,000 points in this one. He's the 8th team to that mark. It's his 10th 125-point game. He's the 8th team to that mark. And Colin becomes the 10th team to play at 140 games. But these are 2 teams going in opposite directions. Morgan, continues the momentum. He's now 9-3, and he's got a playoff spot locked up and very likely a bye coming up to look forward to.
Yeah, I think we've kind of both of us have expected Morgan's team kind of throughout the last few weeks to slow down his pace a little bit. I've been a little bit higher on him than you have, but he's just he just keeps it up, and he's just got Joe Mixon has just been so good for him, and I mean, he's obviously got Devontae. Won't have him this week on bye, but Devontae has been great. You know, he got, you know, kind of the Stafford game from that good game script that he's been missing the last couple weeks. And yeah, I think Morgan's team is just really, really solid. You know, Josh Jacobs got work when Josh Jacobs gets enough work. He's a really productive player. So yeah, it has been a little bit weird for Colin. You know, at 7-5, I think he's still got to feel good about making the playoffs. But you know, you just never know. He does play Grant in week 14. And he's got Dan this week, who Dan, you know, we all know pulls out bullshit all the time in fantasy. So I mean, like, there's definitely a chance that Colin slips to 7-7 to end the season, and then who knows with all the tiebreakers and all that. It kind of seems like some 7-win teams will get in, however many that will be, yet to be determined. But yeah, I mean, yeah, great win for Morgan. I mean, we both picked Colin, so just a huge, or not a huge upset because he was ranked higher, but like a pretty surprising result, I guess would be how I would categorize it.
I would say surprising. I mean, it's keeping with what's happened this season. I mean, Morgan's won 7 of 8. He's averaging 117 since week 2. So his team's been really, really good. And you know, he might be one of these teams that kind of like I think it was Zach that just came storming into the playoffs last year and was a fraction of a point away from winning the championship. You know, Morgan's averaging 134 over the last couple of weeks. He's got the momentum going. And for Colin, it's been the opposite. You know, his team's been good. He's averaging 121 over the last 6 weeks, and he's lost 4 of those. So, you know, it's been a series of tough breaks for Colin in a row.
121, but like, so that's 480, but 160 of that did come last week. So the other 3 weeks were 103, 98, 97.
Yeah.
So I mean, that the last week skews it a little bit.
It does. But I mean, look, his team could do that. His team's got the big weeks.
Yeah, no, his team definitely has probably the highest upside in the league, as we saw from his 200-point game. But but yeah, I guess a little bit of, you know, some sub 105 weeks in the last 4 weeks has been, I guess, a little reason for concern.
Yeah, I mean, but like you were saying with the schedule, like, you know, you've been a little bit underwater. You're a half game below expected, but Colin's 1.3 games below expected. He's actually the third unluckiest behind Zach and Austin, and he's sitting at 7 wins. So he's, you know, if we just do estimated wins, he should have the most wins in the league. He's actually, just based on his points rank every single week, should have more wins than Grant, and by over half a win. So you're right that maybe some causes for concern, but also he's gotten fairly unlucky for these last month and a half.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
but anyway, so he's at 7 wins, and he's certainly still in good position for the playoffs. I mean, everyone else has been sort of treading water / moving backwards. So this loss doesn't kill him, but he's got to win a couple. Probably, he could get in without winning another game, but he probably needs to win one more to get in for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And like I said, I think 7 gets in, but 8 will definitely get in. But yeah, I think probably 1 or 2 of the teams, like the 5 or 6 seed will probably have 7 wins.
Yeah. So we'll move on. We'll talk about the playoffs in just a minute, but we'll move on to Nick. Nick, who's got 3-game win streak, keeps it rolling. He's now won 7 of 8 as well, and he wins 122 to 109 over Hunter. And the bigger news from this one is that Hunter loses McCaffrey for the season.
Yeah, it's just a devastating blow for Hunter. Obviously, you know, #1 player in fantasy. And you know, you have Chuba Hubbard, so you know, Hunter doesn't even have that, like, you know, to lessen the blow. And now, yeah, it's just he really does not have any options other than I guess David Johnson. I mean, Mike Davis sucks, and I do not know why he's still on Hunter's team. But so I guess he's gonna have to squeak by with David Johnson, or maybe a waiver wire pickup in the coming weeks. Yeah, it's a really tough position for Hunter to be in. And you know, he dropped out. He's 6-6. You know, he's got Ben this week, which, you know, you would think would be, you know, we've thought previously it would be an easy win, but maybe not. We'll get to that later. And then you. So yeah, I would I would say definitely, you know, I was talking myself trending down. I would say definitely Hunter is not trending in the right direction going in the last couple weeks of the year. But really good one for Nick. I mean, Nick solidified playoff spot, still has that shot at still has a shot at a bye, you know, depending on how he and Morgan finish out the year. But yeah, I would say definitely bigger story coming out of this was Hunter.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, starting with Nick, you know, who got the win. This is a nice win for Nick, and he's kind of done this. You know, this is sort of the template for having a team that gets into the playoffs is win the games that you should win when your opponent has a bad week, and then also win a couple that maybe you don't usually win, and all of a sudden you're sitting at 8-4 with a roster that 3 weeks or a month ago you and I looked at and said, well, this is probably going to be one of the two teams that misses when it was all sort of convoluted. So Nick's really done a good job, gone on a run here. And he's kind of piecing it together at the running back position. I still don't know how confident you are in these running backs. If you're Nick, you know, with Kamara coming back, and then you know, Javonte Williams still hasn't taken over that backfield, maybe won't. Although he did have a nice week this week. Damian Harris has been good, but he's been scoring a lot of touchdowns. So, you know, I think that he's piecing it together. Stephon Diggs playing a little bit better. Things are looking up, but still some question marks there. And then for Hunter, yeah, the McCaffrey loss is big. You know, I hate to say I told you so, but I tried to give him Chuba Hubbard multiple times. Apparently $30 of fab is just too high of a price to pay. And so this is tough. I mean, I've been saying all along that Hunter's just a lock to make the playoffs, but maybe losing the best player in fantasy changes that a little bit. So we will keep going. And you kind of touched on it, but Ben, 115-73, getting the win over Austin. And look, keeping his playoff hopes alive. He's at 5-7. It's unlikely, but at the very least, he's going to have a first-round game in the Haney Cup playoffs. He's getting hot at the right time. This is his 65th win. He's the 9th team to 65 wins. It's his 45th 100-point game. He's the 10th team to that mark. And, you know, he's on a 3-game win streak at the end of the year. Usually we say that Ben starts out hot and then just falls apart. And he's done the opposite this year. So he's still in with a chance. And, you know, normally you look at the schedule and you say you want to play bad teams at the end of the year, but he's got Hunter and he's got you these next 2 weeks. And those are games where he could potentially make up ground. You know, if you're at 5-7 and basically a game behind in the playoff race, you probably look at it as a good thing to be playing the teams that are a game ahead of you, because a win for you is a loss for them. So definitely peaking at the right time.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think, you know, I think coming off his win last week against you, you know, I think we all kind of, you know, we like joking about how, you know, of course you would lose to Ben. But you know, he put together another good week against Austin. And now he's got, you know, Hunter, his team is not at full strength. Now he wasn't gonna, you know, Hunter was gonna play him without McCaffrey anyway, because this is the Panthers bye week, but he still doesn't have Hunter without 2 of his best 5 players, and then he'll have me, who I'll be without AJ Brown, and you know, who knows, my team hasn't been the best recently. So yeah, he's definitely got a shot to get himself to 7-7, and then, you know, like we said, I think 7-7 will get in for some people. I think a couple teams will be left out at 7-7, but I think 1 or 2 teams will be in. So if that's Ben, I mean, that would be just a remarkable turnaround of a season for him after we have done nothing but bemoan the Cooper Kupp trade to Hunter, which I think if he had Cooper Kupp, he would probably be in a lot better position than 5-7. He would maybe be like very firmly in the playoff race.
Yeah, no, I haven't done the math, but he would almost certainly be in the playoffs if he hadn't made that trade. And look, yeah. I mean, I think that was a terrible move. He will tell you that's a terrible move. I actually talked to him last week, and he was like, yeah, that just, you know, blew up in my face, losing Cooper Kupp and losing Jalen Waddle. But the thing is that doesn't, you know, we can't overlook the fact that he's made some really good moves recently. So Tevin Coleman, big pickup, looks like a guy you could start now, at least for a couple weeks for the playoff push. And then, you know, we kind of joked about him picking up Gronk when he already had Darren Waller for no reason. And now it looks like he's, you know, got Gronk to slide right in the lineup for however long the Darren Waller injury is. So that's a huge pickup. and then Kendrick Bourne coming on as a guy who you can certainly play. And so, I mean, I think he's made some smart moves recently, and they've been paying off.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that's a very shrewd use of the waiver wire. Yeah, I think just he's working with what he has right now, which what wasn't much a couple weeks ago, but starting to build back a little bit better depth, a little bit better starting lineup, and it would be remarkable if he's able to pull this off and sneak into the playoffs.
Yeah, he's definitely heating up. So, and then the last one, you touched on it, but Dan doing some Dan shit, getting the win, 91-55 over Thomas. And for Thomas, this is just, I mean, you and I are saying we've got it bad, but Thomas has just absolutely ejected. He's lost 4 in a row, and he's lost Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Swift this week, and things could not be worse for Thomas, I would not say.
Yeah, you were definitely smart on the picks last week. I went opposite of you, just to kind of be different a little bit, and I picked Thomas. Like your logic was absolutely correct that this is just a classic Dan win, a classic Dan spot. Yeah, like and honestly, like the reports on Kamara are kind of weird and vague and iffy right now, so he might not even play against the Cowboys. I guess that would be tonight when you're hearing this. So he might not be without all 3 of his running backs this week, which I don't know what you do from there. I guess he's got to patch it together with. He doesn't have another running back on his roster.
Latavius Murray, he picked up today.
Okay. Yeah. So
looks like the plan is to roll with Kamara and Latavius.
Yeah, I guess that'll work. And then
Kyler comes back.
You still got Jamar. Yeah, Kyler's coming back, but like you said, just really not good. And guess who he gets to play this week? The best team in the league. So yeah, if Grant beats him this week, that'll be it for him. Yeah, just complete free fall and rough stuff for Dan. Again, I was really wrong. Once he made once Derrick Henry got hurt and then he made the Kamara trade, I was like, Dan's going down the drain. Now he's won 3 straight because of course he has. And now he's firmly in the playoff picture. He's got the tiebreaker over me. And he I think he has the tiebreaker over 100. Oh no, he does not have the tiebreaker over 100. But yeah, like always got
tiebreaker over you, and he's got Ben, and he's beat Thomas twice. So
yeah.
So the 5 and 7 teams will have a hard time catching up to him.
Yeah, and he's got Colin and Zach, which one tough matchup, one not so tough matchup. Although I guess you never know with Zach, but yeah, Dan again right in the thick of things to get to that 7 and 7 or better mark, and from there we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So and my other question for you was going to be, if you're Thomas, you're sitting at 5 and 7. Do you get on the horn with Grant and say, I've got Dalvin Cook, I've got DeAndre Swift, and I need Jamal Williams? Or do you just say, I need to save these guys and try to not win the Haney Cup?
That's a valid question. I think that discussion, much like what you and Grant said last week, I think that could definitely be had. I mean, Grant has already locked up a bye, so I think that would make a lot of sense for him, considering the next 3 weeks of the season don't really matter for him too much. So yeah, I think if you're Thomas, I think I think that's kind of a loser's mentality. Just say no, let's hang on and to these guys and not win the playoffs. So I would definitely have that conversation with Grant if I was him. I think that's a smart idea. So
we're talking that there's a realistic situation where Grant comes into the playoffs with the running backs of. Remember, at the beginning of the season, we said Grant doesn't have running backs with Leonard Fournette, Cordero Patterson, Aaron Jones, and Dalvin Cook or something like that.
Yeah, that would be I mean, listen, maybe Thomas doesn't do it out of spite or something, or he's like, well, this would just basically hand Grant the championship. And so maybe he doesn't do it for that reason. Who can ever predict with Thomas?
You would have Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill, and Deebo Samuel and have to bench somebody.
Yeah, I would even if I was Grant, I would, I think, you've had your concerns about Aaron Jones. I would even consider making an Aaron Jones for Dalvin swap. Like, because again, like the next couple weeks don't matter for Grant. I think once Dalvin gets back, I think he's undoubtedly more valuable than Aaron Jones for the
I agree,
playoffs.
but Thomas trading for a guy that's on bye this week would be stupid.
Oh, he is on. Oh, you're right. All right, never mind then. Yeah, I forgot about that.
But yeah, no, and then yeah, so on top of that ridiculous running back and wide receiver lineup, if he was able to make that trade, he's also got Travis Kelce. So
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely absurd playoff lineup for Grant.
yeah, I shudder to think Grant's in a good spot to three-peat.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well that does it for this week's recap. And I guess do you want to do power rankings real quick, and then we'll talk about the playoffs, and then we'll let you get some sleep.
Sure. Well, we gotta do picks too, but yeah.
Oh yeah, the picks, true. All right, so I guess we'll go through our rankings. And I actually have a decent amount of change from last week. Do you want to let's just go from the top. Let's just each say our pick again, just because I think this is an interesting week of power rankings. So I got Grant at 1. I'm assuming you do too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that seems like the given. I don't think either of us are going to move Grant out of the number 1 spot after last week, after leading the league in scoring and having a game on the field. And then I got Morgan up 2 spots to the 2 spot. I mean, he's 9-3 with the second best record in the league, and his team's really coming together. I mean, he's got a really, really strong lineup, and I've been underrating Morgan all year. I think that going in the playoffs, you might not say he has the second best lineup, but with the fact that he's very likely to have a bye, I think he's pretty much a slam dunk at 2.
Yeah, I agree. I moved Morgan up from 3 to 2. Yeah, I don't really see any argument now that he's beaten Colin, and Colin's been the number 2 team for a while for both of us, and now that he beat him, I think it's pretty slam dunk case that it's Morgan now.
Yep. And then at number 3, I've got Colin, so I've got him down a spot to 3. I still like his lineup a lot. He's 7-5. I still think he makes it into the playoffs, and so I couldn't drop him further than 3.
Yeah, I agree. I also have him at 3. I think now with McCaffrey's injury, I think, and Dalvin's injury, and Kamara, who knows? I think, and Zeke, I think his 2 running backs are probably the top 2 running backs rest of the season in fantasy.
You can make an argument for Cordero.
Cordero maybe.
Argument for Fournette. I don't know about that.
I would say Fournette over Cordero. Just he's on a better offense that he'll get more goal line work. But yeah, I would.
You can't go wrong with Eckler and Taylor for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Taylor's 1, Eckler is somewhere in that top 4 range. But I would probably have him at 2. So yeah, like Colin's team, obviously still really good. I think Hollywood and Godwin is still a good top 2 receivers, and then Mike Williams, huge boom potential. So yeah, Colin's team, I still like a 3.
And then Nick up a spot to 4 for me. He's 8-4. He's in the playoffs. The rest of it is just sort of a big shit show. So I think there's a pretty clear top 4.
Yeah, I agree. I've moved Nick up to 4. Yeah.
And then we get into the 6-6 teams. And I don't know how you don't have a 6-6 teams in the next 4 spots based on the fact that the 5 and 7 teams have a lot of work to do. So I guess the question is the order that you put them in. And for me, it's you, then Hunter, then me, then Dan.
Okay. I have so you said me, then Hunter. All right. I have you, then Hunter, then me, then Dan. So I think we just flip flop
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, the big thing is moving off of Hunter. I've obviously been the big proponent of Hunter's team this year, but I can't not react to losing McCaffrey. The thing is that he still plays me.
Actually, I'm gonna move me and Hunter. I'm gonna move myself up to 6 and Hunter down to 7.
Okay. So yeah, Hunter still plays me.
More than Hunter's.
And so that's gonna be a huge matchup right there. That tiebreaker is still up in the air. And I still think you've got a good roster with AJ Brown out. I think Cooks and Jefferson are a good enough receiver duo. And like I talked about earlier, I still really like the running backs, and I think that they'll be there when you need them.
Wow, are you forgetting a certain version that's also in my wide receiver core?
Yes, Tyler Lockett is also good, Joe.
Okay. Well, he's technically my number 2 now. So
you remember Cooks?
Yeah, I think now with Russ back, yeah, he's had a couple pretty good weeks with Russ.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so that's a big discussion there, and then I don't think you can put him over the teams ahead of them just yet, but I have been ahead of Thomas at number 9, which is maybe the highest Ben's been in my rankings all year.
Yeah, I actually did struggle with this when I was looking at it. I think I'm just going to keep Thomas there, assuming he gets Kamara back and he still has Jamar. You know, he's getting Kyler back. I guess that's barely enough. And if you can get Swift back after a week or two or so, like it definitely is close. Which again is a credit to Ben, because I think like a month ago I had Ben at like 11 and Thomas at like 4 or 5. So yeah, it is close. Ben's done a pretty good job the last couple of weeks, but I'm gonna keep Thomas ahead of him ever so slightly.
Um, and then I've got Austin ahead of Zach still. Big win for Zach this week, but I think I just like Austin's team a little bit better. He's getting Hopkins back. Kittle's been good. I just comparing those two rosters, I like Austin's team a little bit better, but I think a significant gap between 10 and 11.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I agree. Significant gap between 10 and 11, but I do have Zach ahead of Austin. I think, yeah, he's getting a little healthier, but I don't like the trade he made with you. I guess Jalen Hurts is good, but I would not have given up Alexander Madison, who's going to be a running back 1 for the next 2 or 3 weeks or however. And yeah, Austin seems okay healthy, but I actually do like Zach's team. Who's getting healthy. He's getting Amari Cooper back. So yeah, I think again pretty close between them, but I have Zach slightly ahead of Austin.
Yeah, I mean, just talking about the trade that you're referring to about half an hour ago. I traded Jalen Hurts to Austin for Madison, and I also gave Austin Foreman. I like it for Austin. I mean, I think that for him, I mean, he just has got to get value from Madison, because I guess the difference in opinion is that you think that Madison may still be relevant, as in Dalvin won't be back by the time Austin plays another game that matters, which will be which will be week 16, which is 3 weeks from now, and I just kind of don't think he will be. So I think for Austin to capitalize and get a quarterback that has a good playoff schedule, and then also Foreman, who looks like a starting running back who he can play as a flex with confidence, I think is definitely worth it. I understand it, and I think it's a good deal for him. And I just think he's just a little bit deeper than Zach is.
Yeah, I mean the Madison thing, that's part of my argument. The other part, I kind of the reason I traded you Jalen Hurts for a depressed Patrick Mahomes value is I just kind of think the regression is coming with Jalen, and I think we started to see that last week, obviously with his 6.3 interception performance, and he's got a good schedule. What?
But he was on my team then.
I mean, I don't think Austin's gotten great quarterback play either this year, but yeah, I just I don't think he's a very good quarterback. So I think some of that touchdown luck, that rushing touchdown luck is bound to regress some, and I think we've started to see that a little bit in the last few weeks, other than the last week that he was on my team.
Yeah, exactly. When he's on your team, he's good. When he's on my team, he's bad. So talking about the playoffs, I had said last week, I was like, okay, after this week, we'll have some more clarity. We'll be able to do the if then, if this game, that game. The trouble is that after this week's results, there are still 8 teams who could be either in or out of the playoffs. So that's Nick, Colin, me, you, Dan, Hunter, Thomas, and Ben. All potentially could be in, and all potentially could be out. Nick at 8-4 would have to lose out, and it would take a weird scenario for there to be 5 teams at 8-6. But it's possible, and I've done the math. And if it goes to a scoring count back tiebreak, which it would in that scenario, it'd be between you, Colin, and Nick. So Nick would likely be out in that scenario. So Nick has not locked up a playoff spot. Ben and Thomas have a tough road ahead at 5 and 7, but could still be in. And so with that said, there are 256 possibilities of combinations of wins and losses for the last 2 weeks, which is just a few more than I was willing to sit down and calculate out. So all that to say, next week, I will definitely be able to do it. But for now, all I can tell you is that some 7-win teams will probably get in, although it's also possible that an 8-win team could miss, and it's possible that a 6-win team could get in. So keep in mind that any of that could happen.
It would really be something if 6 and 8 got in the playoffs.
I mean, it'd really be something if Nick goes 8-6 and misses the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but like I think we said for a lot of the year before, before Zach and I guess not even Dan, because Dan's actually just a legitimate playoff team, but like we were saying how they were going to start losing more, and they've since played spoiler a little bit, and Ben also that before all that, I think we were kind of expecting that you would need to be 8-6 to make the playoffs. Now, like in the scenario that I would, I guess that scenario exists. Like I find it hard to believe that Nick will miss even with 2 straight losses. Like that would.
I can tell you that the scenario that a 6-win team makes the playoffs is extremely limited.
Well, yeah, I would imagine so.
So basically what has to happen is, okay, in that situation, obviously Colin and Nick are in. And then Hunter would also be in because Hunter will have to beat Ben, which means that, for a 6-win team to get in, Hunter's gonna have to beat Ben, which means that Hunter will have to beat me. He'll have to be 8-6 for a 6-win team to get in. And then you're gonna have a tiebreak between me, you, Dan, Thomas, and Ben, or Thomas or Ben. But that's the only situation where a 6-win team gets in. So extremely unlikely that a 6-win team gets in. It's probably going to be some combination of 7 and 8-win teams. So that being said, there's a good chance for all the 6-win teams that all you need to do is win one more game and get in. Colin could lose out and still likely get in. And he's got Dan and Grant. So must win for Dan this week. But yeah, definitely a chaotic situation for the playoffs. If I'm just going to, if we're trying to split hairs between who's got good and bad tiebreak situations, Nick obviously has a good tiebreak situation, being that he's 8-4. But Collins is also pretty solid, although he does. It's pretty average. Your tiebreak situation is not great overall, although I don't think it will hurt you because you have the tiebreaks over me and Thomas, which is really just me when you think about it. You still haven't played Ben and Nick, which probably also won't matter, but you've lost to Colin twice, Dan, and Hunter. So your tiebreak situation is not great. Mine is good. I've got the tiebreaks over Colin, Nick, Dan, and Thomas. Although those are the 4 teams that you probably least want to have the tiebreak over that are still in. I've split with Ben. I lost. You're the only one I've lost outright, and I still haven't played Hunter. And then Dan's is not great. Actually, Dan's is pretty good. He's beaten Ben and Thomas twice. So for Ben and Thomas to get in with 7 wins, they probably need Dan to lose out.
Okay.
And then Hunter has a very good tiebreak situation as well. He's lost to Nick twice and Thomas twice, but he has tiebreaks over Colin, 2 over Dan, and he's beaten you. He still plays me and Ben. So Hunter and I are kind of in spots where we should have a decent amount of control, and then you're in an okay spot. The one who's in a tough spot is Dan because he beat you but lost to me and lost to Hunter twice. So that's going to hurt him if it comes down to a tiebreak. And all that was
I mean, if I miss the playoffs, I'm just always going to think about Chubb getting COVID, and that basically costing me.
Yeah, that's fair. And then the other thing that's worth mentioning is how the tiebreak works. So this language was changed, I think, 2 years ago at winter meetings. And so, everyone knows that our tiebreak is head-to-head, and it still is. But in the event of multiple teams are tied, which will likely be the event. So, if it's 2 teams, you just look at the head-to-head. But if it's 3 or 4 teams, everyone's head-to-head record against all the other teams will be calculated once. You only calculate head-to-head record once. So, for example, let's say there's the 4, 6, and 6 teams tied for 2 spots. We'll calculate all of the records against each other team, and anyone who's in is in. So, like, for example, if one team is 3-2 and the other teams are 2-2 or worse, then the first team is in, and then the next teams will be divided based on points against. So well, okay, I should say this. One team's in, and then whoever's low is out. But if there's multiple teams that have the same record against all the other teams with the same record, if that makes sense, those will be separated by points scored.
Yeah, that makes sense.
By points scored. So, like, for example, if me and you are in a tiebreak where we have the same record and we have the same record against the other teams with the same record, it won't matter that you beat me. It'll be points scored, which you'll probably also beat me on, but we'll be close.
No, I think I just passed you back again this week.
You did.
I think that's gonna be close.
But anyway, so keep that in mind. That will possibly come into play. I don't know that it has come into play before, but it possibly will. So we take our picks. Do you have our records from last week?
Yeah, I went 3-3, and you went 2-4.
Okay, so you're 35-37 now. I'm Jesus Christ. I'm 29-43. And the guest pickers are still 28-32. So you do not want to get picked by us in general.
No, it's remarkable how we do a whole podcast on this league and don't know how to predict it.
Yeah. We are all below 500 at predicting it. So let's go into the projections. And once again, projected the highest score, we got Grant, 121-96 over Thomas. Like we said, maybe Thomas calls him about a trade, but maybe he doesn't. Probably, I guess he doesn't. So what do you think about Grant minus 25.1?
That's so many points, but it makes sense, seeing Thomas's team. I think I'm going to take Grant because, again, I'm not 100% sure Kamara plays tomorrow, which would be a huge, obviously a giant blow to Thomas's team, and he would have to then pick up another waiver wire running back if he doesn't make a trade. So I'm gonna lay the 25 with Grant.
Yeah, I'm gonna lay the 25 too. Here's one thing that I've noticed with these projections is that average players are just projected too many points in these things. So like Laviska Shenault, 8 points. Kyle Pitts, who by the way is just not good, 10 points. Christian Kirk, 8 points. Rondale Moore, 7 points. There's a lot of room for all those guys to go under. So I'm taking Grant with the points.
Yeah, I think Kyle Pitts has been like worse since Calvin Ridley's absence. I think Calvin really helped him. So
yeah. So next up, so we're both taking Grant to cover. Next up, we got Colin coming in as a 14.4 point favorite over Dan. The line is 120 to 105.6.
I'm gonna take Dan here plus 13.5. Or I'm sorry, 14.5. This is just Dan down the stretch. Doing pulling his shit. Definitely. I would not feel very confident in this line if I was Colin. I think Dan likes to win these ugly games down the stretch, sneak in the playoffs, and then get eliminated. So I'm gonna take Dan.
And you said something very important right there. You said ugly games. I'm taking the under. The line here, 225. Dan wins ugly. This is going to be a low-scoring game. Maybe he wins, maybe he loses. And Colin, you think of as a high-flying team. Josh Allen is Colin's only player playing at home this week, and he's playing against the Patriots. The rest of his entire lineup is on the road. So I don't know if this really matters, but I'm calling it, on the road, lower points. This is going to be a low-scoring affair. I actually think Colin will get the win and end Dan's hopes this year, but I think it's going to be an ugly matchup. I'm taking the under.
Okay, fair enough.
What do you think? On the road means less points?
Sure. I mean, I'm sure there's stats to back that up. I do. I retired from making bets against the total, but I do like that under.
And now we've got Morgan. Morgan projected 111.6 to 107. He's a 4.6 point favorite over me. Game that I need to win obviously more than Morgan does, but he's the favorite here. I'm gonna go. I'm picking myself. Why not? I haven't picked myself all year.
Oh.
I don't know why. Just need to change up some vibes. I'm gonna have some confidence. We're rolling Taysom out there, and I think I'm gonna win outright.
But yeah, hopefully Taysom's healthy enough to play. His foot's okay.
He was off the injury report today.
Yeah, I just saw something that was the reason he wasn't, and he didn't even he didn't like play at all like last week against the Bills because he was the emergency and he was still too hurt. But I don't know. Yeah, I'll also take you. I think this is going to be pretty close. So if I think it's about a pick 'em. So if you're going to give me basically what in my mind is a pick 'em, I'll take the points all day on the 4.5.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't picked myself this year, so why not? We need to show some confidence in the boys. All right, and then we got Hunter projected 107 to 99 over Ben. These teams are headed in opposite directions. Hunter's a 7.9-point favorite. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the again kind of seeing how we've talked about the two teams today. I think you would think to take Ben with the points. It seems pretty obvious. I'm going to take Hunter, given the 8 or given the 7. I can't do math right now. And yeah, I think there's a little bit of pride on the line. I think I think there's a little bit of viewing theory, rally around the injured star player. Doesn't have DJ Moore, but which is tough. But I think Hunter's team is just primed for, after a couple of disappointing weeks. I think Hunter's team is primed for a little bit of a bounce back, and then a little bit of regression after a couple good weeks. So I'm actually going to take Hunter, giving the 7.
I like Ben. Give me some points here. I think that his team's been turning in the right direction. Aaron Rodgers on bye and Darren Waller hurt obviously hurts his chances here. But like we said, Hunter's got McCaffrey, well, out for the year, but also would have been on bye anyway. And DJ Moore on bye. And one thing that I was looking at earlier today, I was like, how do I make a deal for this? Because Patriots have been incredible recently. Patriots defense has scored 12 or more every week since week 7. That's really been, Hunter's been making a run, and the Patriots defense has been powering the whole way. They're on the road at Buffalo this week. I don't like that matchup. I don't like it one bit. I don't even know if I'd start even a good defense on the road at Buffalo. So I think that sneaky hurts Hunter's team more than we give it credit for. I like Ben as a 7-point dog.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Definitely. I definitely see how why you would make that pick, but yeah, I think there's just a little bit of pride on the line there for Hunter.
Hunter could win, but I don't want to give Ben 8 points. Or I do want to give Ben 8 points. All right, so now we got you 104.8 to 100.4, projected a winner over Nick. Your team kind of dropped the ball last week, but now you get Patrick Mahomes, who you traded for. The Nick Chubb on bye obviously doesn't help, but I think I'm picking you this week. I think this is what you've been saying all year. Just looking at Patrick Mahomes' name in a lineup inspires a lot of confidence, even though he's kind of sucked ass this year. But I like that for you. So I'm taking you. Patrick Mahomes, I don't really see, he's back to MVP Patrick Mahomes now that he's on your team. I don't see a situation where that doesn't happen.
The last time Patrick Mahomes was on my team, he went off on Sunday Night Football, can't help me come back against Hunter, and then Philip Lindsay broke his hand to win a championship. So I am trying to recapture a little bit of that magic. I'm still gonna take Nick though. It was like about to pick him earlier. I think Nick put in Ingram to his lineup, who is projected fewer than Alex Collins, but I think he might be expecting that Kamara doesn't play and Ingram's a starter. Which I would imagine if Kamara does play, he'll put Alex Collins back in there. So I'm going to take Nick while I can get the 4.5 with him. Yeah, I think the Chubb thing, my second week without AJ Brown, obviously he'd be on bye anyway, but not having Chubb, and I'm starting freaking Traquan Smith, who is not any good, although he was good one game last year when I started him. I just very low on my team. I think this could end up backfiring. I think if Mahomes can blow up again, but the way Mahomes has been playing this year doesn't inspire a ton of confidence.
Here's the other thing on that. Mahomes, I've been complaining because you just run the cover 2 shell and he sucks all of a sudden. The problem here is that Vic Fangio, everyone thinks is like this brilliant defensive mind. he's not just going to want to do the boring thing that everyone else is doing. He's going to try to get cute, and it's not going to work. Mahomes is going to tear him up. I think just absolute bloodbath in that game. So I don't see Mahomes
Fangio
winning
is like
30, and I don't see you losing.
Vic Fangio is like the epitome of boring. I'm pretty sure.
No, exactly. But
Yeah.
he thinks he's like, nah, I know more than this. This is too simple. This won't work. And look, plenty of people on Twitter are telling me that literally all you have to do is run one defense, and Patrick Mahomes just all of a sudden becomes like a high school quarterback.
I guess we'll see. I mean, again, it was kind of a swing for the fences trade. It was kind of a,
I mean, you certainly rather have Mahomes now.
I mean, I definitely would. I would have rather had Tyrod last week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just logic points to Nick right now, just with my losses from bye weeks and injuries.
No, here's what logic points to. All right, you trade Jalen Hurts to me. He immediately throws 3 picks and gets hurt. What do you think Patrick Mahomes is going to do? I mean, it's too obvious. It's too obvious, Joe. It's too obvious. All right. And then we got Austin, 104.6 to 99.7. He's a 4.9 point favorite over Zach. We talked about in the power rankings. I said I think Austin's team is deep. I think Austin's team is good. He's got Jalen Hurts just sticking his lineup now. Obviously, not having Madison hurts his chances in this game. Although this game is sort of more for bragging rights than anything. But Austin's team's deep. He's got a good depth. So I'm taking Austin minus a 4.9. Although I do see that Kadarius Toney's predicted 0. So if he doesn't play, Zach will put someone else in and probably be a favorite. But I don't care. I'm taking Austin minus points.
Yeah, I guess this is for the 1 seed and versus the 2 seed on the Haney Cup, which I guess depending on matchups could matter a little bit. But yeah, I'll take Zach. I think we discussed it in the power rankings that I like Zach's team slightly more. Again, like we'll probably end up being a favorite by kick if Tony doesn't play it. So yeah, I'll take Zach's team with the 5. I think Austin still doesn't have AB back. Let's see how much of Hopkins he'll get back. Jalen Hurts isn't 100%. Which I know you think because he's not on your team he'll just probably blow up, but I would bet against that. And then Zach gets Amari back this week. We'll see in what capacity coming off COVID, but yeah, I do like Zach's team to win outright and to cover.
Oh shit! I think I forgot to record. I'm just kidding. It's recording. That would have been bad.
I would have just like turned this off and gone to bed.
All right. Well, that does it for our week 13 preview. What do you think, Joe? What do you think about me picking myself?
I like it. First time for everything. Only took you 13 weeks to get there, but
clearly my strategy's been bulletproof when it comes to picks for the first 12 weeks. So
you losing on an even week just kind of flipped everything out of order that you had to switch something up, I guess.
Look, all I'm telling myself is that what I pick actually does not have any effect on the result. I don't know if that's true, but I just have to keep telling myself that. Anyway. What?
You're also just like terrible at picking, so you probably I guess picking against yourself is like a pretty sound strategy.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, what do you think? Over under 2 more trades made in the league this season.
So trade deadline is
before week 13 games.
Yeah, before week 14 games, right?
Yeah, week 14 games.
Yeah, so we got basically a little more less than 2 more weeks. I think we'll get 1, maybe something minor, but yeah, I think we'll get 1.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, apparently
who the fuck knows with you? I mean, you could have like 3 different things.
Apparently, I'm the only team that really wants to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at trades, here and there. It's just like, I don't know. I don't have a ton of good trade partners in the league, I would say, but yeah, I guess like what you're doing is smart, is like factoring in situations, and like,
I don't know if it really helped me last week, but it didn't hurt me last week either.
Yeah, I mean, I would like if I was Thomas, I would do that trade with Grant for Dalvin or DeAndre for somebody, but I guess we'll see.
Anyway, all right. Thanks everyone for listening. Probably like the 5 people who listen. And good luck in week 13, and we will have a better playoff preview next week.